Hey, what's up, guys? Rampedi here. We're back with another show. Kante, what's going on with Itumeleng Khune? Let's go.
That's how it goes?
They keep asking about the best when they know it's me.
Okay.
Asking about the rest when they know it's me.
Straight in, I guess.
You know it's me.
The Betway Premiership is back, ladies and gentlemen, and I got to tell you, man, I was so happy. I was happy to see Kaizer Chiefs again, happy to see them winning again. It's been such a long time seeing that team win, but we had the likes of Royal AM playing, Cape Town City playing, Polokwane City was playing as well, TS Galaxy, we didn't forget you guys. And then there was also the CAF Champions League action that was happening. Sundowns, Orlando Pirates, Steelies, congratulations on your win. That was really good. But I got to touch on Kaizer Chiefs, and not necessarily on what happened on the pitch. It's more what's happening off the pitch. So as I was watching the CAF Champions League games, the analyst they had on TV was Itumeleng Khune. Look, I was happy for him. Don't get me wrong. I was happy that he's getting an opportunity. He's doing his thing. But in a big way, I felt sad just watching him. I just felt sad. Like, sad because the way Chiefs and him have handled this exit or what's going on there, because there's still a cloud over it. We don't even know what's going on. It's bad because such a club legend, someone who sort of made kids want to play goalkeeper, he stated last season, they said it was his last season, right? And he stated, no, I want to carry on playing. And it seems like Chiefs were like, you're not good enough on the pitch to sort of contribute. But now what's happening, guys? Where's the announcement? Itumeleng Khune, have you retired now that you are analyzing games? And there's two ways, because Kaizer Chiefs, on the other hand, you've offered a deal, right? Why don't you just put it out there and say, we've offered this deal and it's fine. If he wants to come and work there, that's all good and dandy. But you're not making any sort of announcement and you're playing around with it, tiptoeing. The season's already started. And Khune as well. Is it the fact that he still just wants to play for Chiefs? You know, is it just that? Like, it can't just be just that. If you still want to play, you could go play elsewhere. But is it because, I never thought about this, other teams maybe do not feel that Khune can contribute anymore? Maybe the level that he has to go to, we're talking about the Bitters Matsipa Championship here. He might have to go down to that level. Now, the problem is, does Khune want to go down to that level? I don't think he wants to go down to that level. But even you, man, like, take control of your career. Try to figure out in terms of what you're going to do and announce the retirement if you're going to retire. And if it's broadcasting you're going to do, one of the things I remember was Ghana saying, you know, you got to leave the game before the game leaves you. And at this state that I'm looking at and how it's playing out, I don't think Itumeleng Khune is going to play for Kaizer Chiefs again. In fact, I don't think Itumeleng Khune is going to play ever again. An ICC-accredited journalist, a CAF-accredited journalist, a broadcaster, someone who loves sports, Naledi Aphane, is here. And I asked her, does sports broadcasting need new faces? She didn't duck.
Another big guest on Playing the Field with Shakes. Now, this one I'm excited about because she's a CAF-accredited journal. She's an ICC-accredited journal. She's a broadcaster. She's a speaker. And she once interviewed me. Now I'm interviewing her. Naledi Aphane, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing? Thank you so much. Finally, it feels so good to be on your platform. It's been so long that I've been wishing to be on the platform, man. Thank you so much for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. When you start doing big things and look, I mean, you even wearing the Proteas jersey as well, and that's been happening. I've seen you like at events. I've seen you inside a radio station. I've seen you broadcasting. Like, how would Naledi describe herself? Because she's good at a lot of things.
I describe myself actually as just a sports fanatic. You know, I'm not just boxed into a specific sporting code, let's say maybe football or cricket. I like all sporting codes. But of course, you would see me mainly at football and cricket sporting events. So I would say that I'm a sports fanatic. That is just simply how I would describe myself.
Oh, that's really dope. So in terms of if someone said, what is your passion? What would you say?
My passion is sports. You know, between the two sporting codes.
Yeah.
My first love is football, as a lot of
Okay.
people would know. I think a lot of people knew me in the football space. However, cricket also found me. You know, when a bug bites you, that's what happened with cricket, and I'm never looking back. So, football, my first love, cricket, second love.
Now, funny enough, you posted what's the thing, a video clip very recently speaking about the fact that you're starting your own podcast and you're going to be doing all these chats with regards to speaking to people. Welcome to this place, to this space. It's needing people like you because you used to do it before when you're on radio. Now, the one question
Yeah.
that will be asked quite a lot is you happen to get the biggest broadcaster on that video. Now, that
Which one?
relationship, the biggest sports broadcaster, Robert Marao, was there. Now
Okay,
the
that's
question,
true. That's true.
now the
Yeah,
question
yeah.
that I ask is that how did that relationship start between you and him?
You know, I'm so glad that we're doing this interview literally a day before the anniversary of when that all happened, because it actually happened on the 17th. I believe that's tomorrow of September 2021. I
Yeah.
sent a tweet to Rob on Twitter, which just blew up in ways I really had never imagined. Like I would never have imagined that tweet to do, what it did. And then yeah, I guess 3 years later, almost 4 years later, the relationship is so strong, mainly because I don't know, we respect each other, we respect each other's craft. I respect his craft a lot. And I see that he just doesn't treat me as just somebody looking up to him, but he sort of like treats me like he's equal. I know I'm not, but I guess that also fosters a great relationship between the two of us. So yeah, I learned from him, work with him. I do so many things with Rob. So even when I did the podcast promo, I knew that I had to bring him on because this is someone that I not only just look up to, but he inspires me in so many ways. So that relationship is just solely based on respect for one another and also respecting each other's craft. And I am learning so much from him. So yeah.
Now, I mean, if you're in the space of like I'm trying to think of a Michael Jordan every single day, if or at least most of the time, whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it's a Lionel Messi, I mean, we're talking about arguably the greatest to ever do it in terms of broadcasting in South Africa. What's the key lessons that you've learned from him so far, so that like others can also take it that are trying to get onto the way?
Look, Rob is such a professional. His job has to be done to the best of his ability. And, for people who have me on Twitter, you guys would see that regardless of how many times I hear him broadcasting, but he's just so perfect. I feel like each time I'm listening to him do it, for the first time, because that's just how good he is. So what I'm learning from him, be an absolute professional, be good at what you do. Don't just do something because you want to do it for the glitz, the glam, for the fame. Do it because you want to, also fill in the gap in the market. I mean, there are a lot of gaps in the market. So just be good at what you do, be professional, and just don't do it for the glitz and glam. That's what I would really say for the people that want to be in the space.
Will we ever see you in a radio booth again?
Oh, absolutely. Soon, actually, very, very soon. I promise. I
That's an
promise.
exclusive, guys. That's an exclusive. But the one thing I love that you mentioned while you were speaking was you're a big fan of football. Now, when you've seen what has happened, of course, the league just started, which is great and happy days. When you see with your eyes from what you're seeing, will this season be close in terms of the league? When I ask you that question, what do you think?
I know it's still very early days. I've seen a lot of people on social media saying that Sundowns won't win the league this time around. But now the thing is, the other 15 teams in the PSL lack the consistency. So I still think that Sundowns will win the league, maybe not by a 20 points difference. Maybe we'll go back to, just winning the league the last day of the season, just like they did under Peter Musimane a couple of times. However, we are going to be seeing a lot of, I believe, a lot of challenges as well, for Mamelodi Sundowns in this coming season. I do see, however, two teams that I would like to believe will also be challenging for the title. Can give you those teams. I think Stellenbosch, Coach Steve Barker is doing an amazing job there by Stellies. I also think Orlando Pirates really do what do really have what it takes to actually also win the league. So that's what I think is going to happen this time around. So my top three already predicted before you even asked me that question. That's what I think is going to happen. Also, I see Chiefs. First match of the season really was great under Nabi. I've seen a lot of people actually complaining during pre-season when they lost to TS Galaxy 3-0 and when they lost the cup in Bloemfontein, and people just started panicking. But after what we've seen over the weekend, I believe that they are also competing for the top 8 this time around, since they were not in the top 8 last season.
I see. I mean, it's very key what you said there. You said top 8, and then the other three you said top 3. Are you saying Chiefs cannot get the 4th spot?
I'm saying they are still rebuilding. So we don't want to put any pressure on the coach. He also said that himself, that no pressure. I can't just come into a team first season and you guys expect any kind of silverware. So first season, I believe for coaches that go into new teams should be strictly for rebuilding. If you win something like Coach Riviero did when he arrived at Pirates, good. But I think they are still rebuilding. They are rebuilding.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I think you're right in terms of rebuilding. And I think also fans have to be a little bit like, and you mentioned the fact that Sundowns won't probably get the 20 points, but they probably could still be a strong contender to win the league. Now, the question I ask from you from a spectator point of view, should our teams be more competitive in terms of with regards to in the league? I mean, should a super sport winning more points? I mean, what Stellenbosch is doing is really great. Does it sometimes frustrate you the fact that like teams should be doing a lot better than what they're doing at this current, or well, in the past season, you would say?
Yeah, definitely. I believe that teams should be competitive. I mean, for example, I'll just make example with Cape Town City. This is a team that has been consistent, inconsistent, consistent, inconsistent. So with that type of results, you're winning 2 games in a row and then you're losing 3 in a row. With those results, you can't really compete for anything if you are not consistent. And I'm mentioning Cape Town specifically because they've been with the same coach for many years now. This is a coach that should have been finishing in the top 3, in my opinion, every single season. But they've been so inconsistent. But surprisingly, they signed so many players this time around. So we'll just see how it goes. But I feel like it's been a pattern, they by Cape Town City, whereby they sign a lot of players, but really it doesn't do any talking on the field of play. And then as for other teams, it's the same thing also. There was a time where Pirates had a 5-game winning streak the last season, and I think it was also during the most crucial time of the season. And then going on to lose, I think it was 2 or 3 in a row, which also set them back a bit. So I just feel like teams really should be consistent. Don't just look at the fixtures and say, okay, we can get 3 points here, we can get 3 points here, and then aim for a draw, whatever. Just aim to win all the matches, and everything else will just be seen in the last of the season, I guess.
Now, the funny thing is last season, Orlando Pirates was accused of, or even I made this opinion as well in terms of, I'm not sure if this team can compete on so many competitions, and that could affect their league form as well. Now, this is going to go out before they face their second leg encounter against Running Galaxy. They're 2-0 up already. Will it be a blessing or a curse that Orlando Pirates makes the group stages of the Champions League?
Would it be a curse or a blessing? I believe that they want to play CAF so bad. I know the fan base, and I believe the coach would also say the very same thing. They haven't been in CAF for the longest of time, so they would want to make a return there. However, should they win that second leg against Running, like you're saying, obviously they are moving on to the group stages, which now adds to the number of games they are going to be playing this season. And obviously, in one way or another, if you're not a Sundowns, that does affect, obviously, your performance in the league if you are not as consistent as you should be, or if you don't have the squad and you're not rotating your squad. So I'm going to say it should be a blessing. However, it's going to be tricky finding the balance between, all the competitions. They still have Nedbank. They still have, obviously they'll have CAF now, more games. They'll have also the league. That's more pressure for the coach, but I believe it's the pressure they can handle.
I see. And that's a very good point. And I wanted to also get onto this because you in the media space, you've been in the space for quite some time. Now we're having rising stars that are coming up. Leshabe doing his thing. Mdudu Shabalala scored over the weekend, and as well as also Obrigado as well of Kaizer Chiefs. They've started to come in. You also have youngsters playing at Stellenbosch and youngsters playing at Cape Town City. What is media's role in terms of having to guide these youngsters to sort of become the best that they can be? Because sometimes what you find is maybe these players are overhyped. Sometimes you find that these players are given microphones and they're speaking, and you're thinking to yourself, should they be speaking? Should teenagers be speaking, or should they just focus on their game? So if I was to ask you in terms of what is media's role, and even in cricket, and in what is in media's role to look after young talent in South Africa's game, I guess.
So I would say it's actually different in other sporting codes because they are provided with media training. So they, 16 or not, they know how to handle themselves in interview. However, in the footballing space, I figured that it's quite different because when you ask, example, let's say you ask someone a question and it's a very tricky question, you don't know how to handle yourself in media interviews. You'll find yourself saying things that you shouldn't say. So in the football space, I believe that young players should not be doing, like big interviews. But if you are doing big interviews, let it be that the team has provided you with media training. How do you conduct yourself in interviews? How do you answer questions? Because you can't just answer any question. I'm a journalist, so I know how tricky these questions can be. I know we can actually ask very tricky questions, knowing really well that you'll give us the answer that we want because you were not properly trained to answer questions. So no, they should not be given mics unless they are trained to answer questions.
And do we sometimes fall into the trap as media of overhyping young talent too early?
Yes.
Oh, you believe so?
Yeah, not just the media, the fan base as well. When you are overhyped by the media and plus the fan base, you are definitely getting big-headed because now everybody thinks you're good. You also start to think and believe that you have arrived when you might have arrived, but you need to, in my humble opinion, I believe that you need to remain humble, remain grounded because the noise, when you make one mistake as a favorite player, fan base can just turn on you. And then what happens to you? So just remain grounded, just remain humble. When they praise you, take it in. But that doesn't have to give you a big head at all because when it does, then what happens when the same people who are hyping you and praising you starts to criticize you just because you're not on form? Because you can't be on form the whole time. What happens when you make a mistake on the field of play and they come for you? What happens then? So don't make the mistake of allowing the fans, the media, to give you a big hit because the same people can, criticize you the next day. As the media, I don't think we owe anyone loyalty to, just be kind. We have to do our job. If we criticize, we'll do that. If we have to praise, we'll do that. But just don't let it get to your head.
So you're saying onus is responsible with the athlete because obviously journalists or at least media have to do their job. They have to put out stories out there, especially that interest the people as well. So the onus is on the athletes.
Definitely, it is on the athletes, and I believe the team. I'm a big advocate for the team having, like a media team, teaching people how to conduct themselves. What do you do when you're overhyped, when you're praised? Like Moegoe Shabalala, they get so much praise. But what happens when they make that one mistake on the field of play? And then, because obviously journalists want to sell newspapers. There's one headline with your name on it, and it's not the praise that you've been getting all along. What happens to you? You take a dip because you've been getting all the praise. Now you don't know how to handle, the criticisms that come now that you've made this mistake. So yeah, it is on the player and maybe the team as well to just to offer that support to players to just know how to handle themselves in these spaces.
Based on the outside of what people see, and maybe even me as a fan of what I've seen, you seem to have been making strides that are really great. I just see it. I just see you in certain spaces. I see you in having to interview coaches as well. But now people think it's easy. Of course, they think like, no, walk in the park. This thing, it's not a problem. Whatever. What advice would you actually give for people that are trying to actually be in the space?
What is? Sorry, I missed you there.
So I'm saying, what advice would you give for people that are trying to be in the space who probably look on the outside and say, but it's easy. Now, lady, in 3-4 years, you can now like be in certain spaces. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, it's not easy, and people think it is because now you in Ivory Coast you're doing this, you in India you're doing that, so it must be easy, but it's not. You are going to have more days where you cry yourself to sleep because you just don't think you're good enough for something. There's going to be days where you just question your ability to do stuff.
Mm,
Am I in the right space? Am I, on the right track? Am I doing the right thing? You just have more questions sometimes. And people just see the highlights and think, oh, you have it so easy. You are doing so well. But let
mm,
me tell you what keeps you going when, those doubts obviously start to creep in. Your passion will fuel you so much. You may not even feel like you're doing well, but just knowing that this is something that I love. I love this and I don't see myself doing any other thing. That keeps you going. It gets you
mm,
out of the slump. So what advice do I have for those? Love the game. Because when you don't feel like working, when you don't even feel like watching the game, but your love for the game will make you watch the sport, or will make you do, certain things that you don't even feel like doing because you're just so overwhelmed and you question yourself. So passion, love what you do, and just have fun while you're doing it. It doesn't have to feel like work. Well, for me, it doesn't feel like it. So just love what you do.
yeah, no, I love that. And the final question, I always ask people this question. There's no right or wrong answers, but I'm gonna put a bit of a spin to your one. So
Mhm.
basically, I usually ask them where South African football is at this moment. But for you, I want to know from you, where is South African broadcasting, sports broadcasting for you right now? Where is it?
Yo, I consume a lot of European sports content, so I know the answer to this one.
Yeah,
You know, comparing South African broadcasting to specifically UK because that's the most that I consume.
yeah.
There's such a huge difference. For example, in South Africa, you've got only two channels that are broadcasting games, and that's the SABC and SuperSport.
Mm.
How many do you have in the UK? You've got your Sky Sports, you've got BBC, like, you've
TNT?
got a lot. Yeah, like there's just so many. So when it comes to where are we, I think there's still a very long way to go. Because
Mm.
when you switch on your TV and you're watching super sports, who do you see there? It's people that So I just feel like there's just such a huge gap, and I hope
Mm.
that we'll get to close it. However, I just feel like we're also on the right track because I was just looking at the last AFCON as well. They tried to bring like different people in studio. So that's also another step of trying to bring in new faces to our screens
Mm.
and introducing us to new people. But there is such a huge gap. But I believe that we are closing it one day at a time. I hope so.
That's a very key point. Before I do run away, before I do go, you mentioned a very good point because that's a point in terms of a lot of people speak about this. Should there be more introduction into fresh faces on TV?
Absolutely. I definitely believe so because then where are we where should we be broadcasting from if there are no new faces on TV or radio? So I do believe that we need to have fresh faces on TV, but we are not entitled to have those. You have to be good, you understand the
Mm.
standards, you have to know your story, you understand the standards. So yeah, I'm just saying that if there are people who are good at what they do, they know their business and all of that, then why not put them on TV? Why not put them on radio?
Mm. Absolutely love that. Now, lady, I want to take this time to say thank you for being a guest on my show. I must also say this story as well that nobody knows. When I was on the come up trying to do my thing, which I'm still on the come up, but like a couple of years ago,
No, you're already there. Come on, you're already there.
I'm not there, me. But I'm saying when I was on the come up, there was someone who reached out to me who wanted me to be on a show, and she believed in me, and she gave me a platform. She gave me a voice. It was such an amazing time, and it happens to be this lady that I'm interviewing right now. Now, lady, I success ya how I wish it so
Oh,
much. I wish it
oh
so much
wow.
because you're
Oh,
amazing, you're passionate, and you haven't changed, and you're not doing this for the light and the fame. And I think you deserve sort of that. So thank you so much for everything.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. I hope this is not the last time. I enjoyed it so much.
No, 100%. It will not be the last time I'll get my people to get you back. That's one thing for sure.
Please, please do and make sure. Thank you so much.
Here on this show, we have no fear, no favor, objective all the way. Players, coaches, we're watching all of you guys. This is Moegoe of the Week. The star of the week is a pretty easy guess. Gaston Sereno, going to Kaizer Chiefs, playing against Moegoe Gallants. Guys, the quality in difference between him and the players that were at Chiefs already. Humongous. Humongous. I watched him and I'm just thinking, Chiefs, over the years, the foreign players that have come to this club, they never reached these levels. And when you're trying to scout, this is the levels you got to go to. But don't worry, I know why you fetched that scout from Mamelodi Sundowns. That's why, ne? That is why. Gaston Sereno is the star of this week. The Moegoe. I could go to Veli Moto. Easily go to him. Couldn't catch the ball again. Bafana Bafana now Amazulu costing his team. But it's not him. It's Joseph Molongwane of Moegoe Gallants. And I call him up because Moegoe Gallants had ball possession far better than what Kaizer Chiefs had. Far better. But you decide to go make a tackle when you didn't need to make that tackle and get a red card. And because of that red card, Chiefs got the 3 points. And in my mind, if you didn't get sent off, man, that game would have ended in a draw. And besides, you should have just let Duba run on, man. Should have just let him run on. He was not going to score. We don't know. Maybe he was. But even if he did, the way that you guys were rotating the ball, you could have put Chiefs away. But because of you, you've given them the 3 points. And unfortunately, because of that, you are the Moegoe of the week. Placing the right bets on the right games. Win big with Shakes Rampedi on Bet of the Week. The new format of the Champions League is in the building, and as well as the Europa League. And of course, I had to have those games on my bet slip, and you will not believe it. In the history of playing the field with Shakes, this is the highest odds we've ever had. Listen to this one. You won't believe it. The number of games compared to the odds, brilliant. Red Star Belgrade going up against Benfica. I've gone Benfica straight win. Monaco going up against informed Barcelona. Barcelona straight win. Atalanta going up against Arsenal. Both teams to score. Brest going up against Stroom. I've gone Brest straight win. AZ Alkmaar going up against Elfsborg. I've gone AZ straight win. And Galatasaray going up against PAOK of Greece. I've gone Galatasaray and Victor Osimhen to win that one. The odds, you will not believe it. It's not 10. It's not 15. But it's 23.65. The highest odds we've ever had here. And high risk deserves high reward. But if you want to win like me, you gotta click on the link below, fam. Remember to practice responsible betting at betway.co.za. Well, won't you look at that, guys? It's Tshwane Derby time. SuperSport United going up against Sundowns. We don't want to miss that, so you gotta go. I have to go. But before you go, just before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're notified for future episodes.